Last week I tried to cover an entire week of preseason action in one video, and, well, it didn't work, so maybe I'll try and take it one day at a time. Obviously, tonight, just not too long ago, we had a one game, Miami versus Kansas City. It wrapped up a little while ago. I didn't watch too much of it, but I did catch some of the starters, some of the more relevant parts of the game, and yeah, let's see. Miami wins 11-10. Another two-point conversion very late in the game. Just one of those things you don't want to go home with a tie in a preseason game. It's just kind of pointless. For the Kansas City side of things, I'm not impressed with Croyle. I didn't like him much last week, and I didn't care much for him this week. I didn't get to see him play that much, but I did get to see him play around a little bit, and I really think Damon Huard is the man for this team. Um, Rushing wise, you obviously saw Kansas City struggle. Part of that is no Priest Holmes, no Larry Johnson. That's going to get fixed before long. Um, but at the same time, you can really see the effects of not having a Willie Roll for Will Shields. So there you go. Can't help but notice. Looks like Dwayne Bowe didn't do anything. Uh, I know I saw him playing. Um, Kansas City kicker giving him problems. Missed a couple of field goals that could have otherwise secured the game for Kansas City. They got rid of Lawrence Tynes for this guy, so it's a pretty big deal. Um, the linebackers looked pretty good. Was impressed with some stuff I saw from like Donnie Edwards and Napoleon Harris and Derek Johnson, although Johnson needs to wrap up on those tackles every now and then. I noticed that maybe it's just in the preseason, but every time I see Ty Law play, he gives these huge cushions to receivers in short yardage situations, and it always leads to first downs to that wide receiver. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the preseason, but I see him do it a lot. Um, yeah, for the Miami side of things, quarterbacks actually looked all right. I still think Trent Green's out of it, and you can't really depend on him for very much. I don't think he's going to play the full season, and I don't think he's going to play too well. But maybe they can get a little bit of gas out of him. I must admit, as a guy who doesn't really care about Cleo Lemon, I was impressed with how he played. And, John Beck, I believe, he played fairly well. Secured the game with his two-point conversion. Threw the ball reasonably well. Ronnie Brown, probably the MVP of this game. He's kind of fallen off the radar lately because the Dolphins aren't doing anything, but the guy is still a talent, and he can still be an elite running back in this league, or at least a very good one. And he showcased why tonight. He had a very solid game for himself, not going down at the first hit. Had a couple of opportunities to maybe punch it in earlier in the game that he wasn't able to take advantage of, but he played well. The Dolphins running backs as a whole played well, be it catching passes like Chapman did a couple times. Cobbs had himself a couple of nice carries. Nice play from the running backs. I saw D. Martin make a couple of nice grabs, especially this one early in the game. Very nice. I never really thought of him as anything more than a backup tight end, but he could be all right. No action from Ted Ginn. He returned a couple of kicks, but no receiving stats, it would seem, so keeping an eye on that. That's a pretty relevant pick in the future of this franchise. Um, Defensively, they played quite well. They stopped up the run without Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, or Joey Porter, so that's good. They got decent pressure, forced a couple of nice turnovers. Um, yeah, there's not a lot much else to say. I mean, again, it's just preseason. I probably already said too much, but it was an interesting match in the sense that both these teams have quarterback controversies. For me, I think Kansas City has to go with Damon Huard. They can win some games this year. I don't really like the direction they're going in, and I don't respect Herm Edwards very much as a coach, but they can win a couple games this year. They have an underrated defense, what should be a very powerful running game, And, if they can get a quarterback who can protect the ball, which Damon Huard did last year, they could do something. So I really think Damon Huard has to be the guy in Kansas City, and, we could see them dueling with Denver for the second spot in the division. For Miami, I think it's got to be Trent Green. I mean, they just gave up a draft pick to get him. I know it wasn't a high draft pick, but the fact that they weren't willing to just wait for him to get cut shows that they wanted him as badly as they did. I don't trust Cleo Lemon, even though he did impress me last night. And Josh Beck, obviously the rookie, kind of a stupid draft pick in my opinion. He's too old. By the time he's ready to play, he'll be, 28, 29? But whatever, that's just my take on the whole quarterback battle part of it. So that's really all I got to say. So I'll be watching some action tomorrow and reporting back to you guys. So see ya.